What's up, everyone? We've got disaster showmancers, we've got Rachel Riley in a fight, and Adrian's going insane. We've got so much to talk about, so welcome to your live feed update. Right before we get started, if you are new around here, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm here every single day giving you all the information that you need to know about the past 24 hours in the Big Brother house. This way you can stay completely up to date with everything that's going on, because I know not everybody has 24 hours in the day to watch the live feeds or even watch a really long update. So I like to comprise everything into 15 to 20, 25 minutes so everybody can get all the information they need to know about what's going on in the house. I know sometimes if you disappear for even 10 minutes, it can feel like a lifetime's worth of a struggle trying to figure out what's going on in that house. So let me do the work for you by hitting the subscribe button. I'll give you everything you need to know. Plus, I'd ask you all kindly to hit the like button. That one takes all of just 0.2 seconds, just a click right now. And it really helps me out as a smaller content creator with the YouTube algorithm. So that's two things, please, folks. Subscribe, like, and let's get to the update. Question of the day now, folks, and I'm going to put the spotlight on Adrian because he's going to be somebody that we're talking about a lot today. What do you think of Adrian's game? Give me your game prowess. Give me your remarks in the comment section below. I want to know what you guys think. Who's got some good insight on Adrian's game? How do you think he's playing so far? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright, folks, we're going to get to the first update, but before we do, I just want to apologise in advance. I am in a different place today. We've got construction work going on nearby us, so I had to change where I was filming today, which is why the upload is a little bit later. I do apologise if in the background you can hear anything or there's anything going on there. I feel incredibly bad about it, but I'm still here to give you all the information. But again, if you hear the occasional rumble in the background, then that's all that is. Don't worry, we'll be back to business tomorrow, and the construction work will be done. But here we go, the first, right on cue. I don't know if you heard that, folks. Right on cue. But first of all, we're going to talk about Morgan and Zach. Morgan has definitely made it clear that she has feelings for Zach over multiple days. And as these days go on, it's becoming more and more painful to watch. She is really trying so hard, but Zach is just not interested. She did confess her feelings a few nights ago. I talked about that in a previous update, and Zach kind of just wasn't taking the bait. We know that Zach is really into Lauren. He wants to get on the Lauren train, not the Morgan train. And Morgan even tried bringing up yesterday morning. He goes, she says, What does your mom think of you being in the house? You know, trying to be all flirty. You know, what does mom think? And Zach goes, well, she's excited for me, but she doesn't want me to get into a showmance. Well, my friends, that's a friend zone if I've ever seen one. But keep plodding on, Morgan. You got this. Now, due to the Sunday episode of Big Brother, we now have a little bit more clarity on the powers that the house guests hold. Of course, Keanu has used his power already, so this doesn't really apply to him, what I'm about to talk about. If you didn't know, Keanu used his power to basically bring a all-star into the game and compete in the veto competition for him, giving him double the chance to win the veto. He competed, and so did Casey from Big Brother 20. She ended up winning the veto, and therefore Keanu holds the veto because she was competing for him. But the two powers still in play are Kelly and Mickey's, and we basically learned that these powers only can exist up until the jury stage, and then they are null and void. Kelly does plan on using hers actually today on day 14. That's Kelly's plan, because she can actually play in a solo comp that could win her the veto, and then she can pull herself up on the block, and then Jimmy's going to have to name another replacement nominee. He's going to have to nominate 5 in total if that happens, if Kelly does win this veto. And we're going to talk about the target and how it's actually shifting. Target has all week been on Keanu, and then he's came off the block, but now the target's shifting to somebody who isn't even on the block yet. So stay tuned for that, because that's a heavy one. So we'll get to that very shortly. But yes, these powers with Mickey as well. She has the power to dethrone a head of household. It will be done anonymously, and then the current HOH will have 5 minutes to, I guess, interrogate the house and debate, and they will then make their guess on who this person is. If they correctly figure it out and say, hey, it's you, Mickey, then Mickey's power does not work. But if they pick somebody else when Mickey actually has used the power, then Mickey will successfully dethrone the head of household and anonymously become the head of household Again, Kelly and Mickey's powers they will expire after the jury stage, so therefore, as soon as the first jury member hits, doesn't exist anymore. Rachel and Keanu had a very interesting conversation in the backyard at one point that led to absolute fireworks. And Keanu was talking about Rachel's previous seasons because Rachel was asking, have you seen my seasons and all that kind of stuff. And then Keanu, oh bless him, he went on a tirade about all of Rachel's iconic moments. About Floater's grab a life vest, and then it kind of led into all of the insults that Reagan had said to Rachel, or whichever house guest had said to Rachel during her time or times in the Big Brother house. And he was bringing up about like insults about her not being able to string a sentence together without her saying like in it a bunch of times, and just all these famous insults that have been hurled Rachel's way over the years. And then Rachel's just like, and then she gets up, she walks off, storms inside, and slams the back door in Keanu's face. And then Keanu goes, did I say something wrong? He might as well be called Mr. Oblivious. Imagine bringing up insults to someone just so casually and being like, like, it's just mistake after mistake with Keanu. He is one of these house guests that I really don't think is aware of how he goes about and speaks to people. That's not to say that, because there has been Battle of the Deluded when it's been Ashley and Keanu, but I think Ashley's worse than Keanu if I'm being totally honest. But I'm rooting for this man to pull himself together so much. And I was so happy when he won veto, because I like chaos and I know he's going to continue bringing it because of moments like that. But it was so funny the fact that he turned around and went, did I say something wrong? Well, maybe if you didn't bring up the fact that she says like so many times in every sentence, maybe, just maybe Rachel wouldn't have stormed off and not wanted to be done with that conversation. It's rookie mistake after rookie mistake for Keanu, but is it good TV? Hell yeah, it is. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Later on, the fight was brought into the kitchen, and Rachel was calling him out for all that kind of stuff, and Keanu was trying to do damage control, but Rachel was being Rachel. She obviously isn't very good in arguments and fights, but that's kind of what makes it so entertaining. But things start getting heated, and she looks at Keanu and says, you wanna with me, Keanu? And then she starts talking on this thing. And she's got, well, if you do, I always win. And Keanu's like, okay, Rachel, okay. And he was totally trying to do damage control. And it was like watching a deer in the headlights, but it's also like, I'm saying like, just like Rachel. But if you bring those things up, it's gonna annoy her. And if you know anything about Rachel as well, it's that she's a ticking time bomb and she's very difficult to manage in the Big Brother house. These 16 house guests around Rachel should have the advantage of knowing. They should have done their homework. All of them should have done their homework before they went in, because there's so many of them who don't really know Rachel. And it would have served them as such an advantage if they had seen Rachel and know that she is difficult. Whether you like her or not, I like Rachel because I think she's great entertainment, but it doesn't stop the fact from being that she is incredibly difficult to manage as a player and a house guest, and manoeuvring around her is difficult because you say the tiniest thing wrong around her and she goes up like fireworks on the 4th of July, as evident right here. So while I do put the blame on Keanu for doing this, it's also like, come on, rookie mistake. If you've seen Rachel's seasons and you've seen her highlights like you're talking about, then don't do something like that around her, because she will blow up like that and then say things like that in front of you, in front of that entire house, and it will put a dent in your game. The people who are more avoiding Rachel and tipping on eggshells around her are doing the right thing. Because Rachel, like I said, she's a tough cookie to manage, because she takes offense to a lot of things, and also, just like I said, she goes off like that. You need no warning with Rachel Riley. You say the wrong thing or the tiniest thing wrong, or you accidentally give her the wrong coffee, and boom, like fireworks on the 4th of July. Exciting news! I've got a brand new Patreon, folks, and you can become a patron on TV Talks with Tom. By clicking the link in the description below, you will be directed to 3 different tiers. We've got Power of Veto, Head of Household, and Blindside Butterbeans. Each tier has their own perks, and you can join the Discord on every single one of those perks. We've got such a lovely community of people who talk about the feeds all day long, and people who love the game. We talk about our old favourite seasons, and just general chat. You know, you can make friends in there. And with the feeds taking away the chat feature this year, you know, now's the option, folks, to come on in and join the wonderful community we're building. Also, this week, I will be going back to Big Brother 2, starting a brand new Patreon-only series where we watch the game from the start. That's right, going back all the way to the beginning with Monica and Bunky and Dr. Will and Nicole and Hardy and all those wonderful characters that created this game. So if you want in on that action, make sure you join the Patreon by clicking the link in the description below. It's time we talked about the target. Now, all week long, Jimmy has 100% been wanting to get Keanu out, but that plan is now out the window since he won the POV, or more so, Casey won the POV for him. And it would seem naturally that the target would shift to Kelly or Adrian after that, but Jimmy's relationship with Kelly has been going on upward spiral on the graph of friendship. They were even cuddling in the hammock at several points during the day. They seem to have something steady going on there, so I don't think it's going to be Kelly. Plus, we know that Kelly's she's kind of made it clear. It's an open secret in the house that she's going to use her power, and as a result, probably pull herself off the block unless she pulls a Caitlin Herman from season 20 and can't put together a tiny puzzle. That being said, the target is not going to be on Adrian either. He, I think, is just completely a pawn still in Jimmy's eyes. And the target now that Jimmy is focusing on is Will. Now, I've seen a lot of discourse around that. People don't want Will to be the target, myself included. But also, I'm seeing as the week goes on, Will doesn't really have a lot of fight in him. And that's a little bit of disappointment to me. But it's also like, Jimmy's HOH to me hasn't been impressive at all. I think he said he was going to take out one of the bros, and then he put the house targets on the block. But he used the whole, I'm trying to flush the powers, as an excuse to why he did that, to try and back up his very weak HOH reign that isn't really going to make a dent on the game. Because when all's said and done, the powers, I mean, he didn't get Keanu out, it only stoked a flame under him, and the power was used successfully. And also, like, I get the aspect of flushing powers, I really, really do, but to me, I feel like that was like a secondary thing after just taking the easy option out. I feel like it was the perfect storm for him to just be go, yeah, I want to flush the powers. It just so happened to be the fact that all the public enemies were on the block. And now he wants to go for Will, who doesn't even have a power and is the oldest guy in the house, who has expressed feeling it's a tough experience being the old-timer in there, having to relate to all the young'uns. And I just think Jimmy's HOH has been pathetic. You know, ask me in a few weeks' time and maybe he's in a good position. Maybe I'll change my stance. But as of right now, in this moment, I'm not impressed at all. I think so many other people who won HOH would have done the same thing, but I feel like it's different with Jimmy because he talked such a big game before about wanting to play the game and take the big guys out. But do you know what? I kind of hope he gets his ass bit by one of the big guys in the next few weeks, and then he can sit there with regret that he didn't follow through on that one. But now Will is his target, and Will, as the week is going on, is losing more and more drive and determination, and it's tough to watch. It really is tough to watch. He even was talking to Amy at one point. They came together, I believe it was in the storage room. Yeah, they came together and they discussed the fact that they're not going to campaign against each other, because Amy's also aware that she might end up on the block and has been thrown around these past few days. But they looked at each other and said, come on, we're not doing this, we're not going to campaign against each other. And then Will also specified that he wouldn't campaign against Adrian. That was a huge disappointment to me. I think no matter what, when you're in that house, you should always campaign to stay. I don't care if you've known someone for 7 days, 17 or 70. You have joined this game to win the money. Throw these people under the bus so you can get further. Very disappointed in Will there. I thought he would have more fight in him. I do feel sorry for him a bit because I know he's feeling like his spirits are crushed right now. But also, for me, when I watch Big Brother, I want to see people fight tooth and nail to get what they want. They are always the best players to me. Looking at Dr. Will, looking at Danielle Reyes, looking at Vanessa, people like that who are just gung-ho and don't stop to get what they want. And that's why I've been so high on Morgan, because I feel like she's got that spirit in her. She's got that dog in her. You know, shout out to all my dogs at the crib. But yeah, she's definitely got something in her that isn't going to go down. Whereas Will, it feels like he's taken a punch and he stayed down. And that's tough to watch. But if he's going to continue that kind of style of play, I'm going to be less attached to him when and if he goes out the door this week. I've been so high on Will. He's been my top 4 pretty much since the preseason. But this has been tough. I still feel so protective over him because I don't want him to go. But also, if this is proven that Will hasn't got much grit in this game, then I guess it's exposed that, and my opinion is starting to shift on that. But yes, Will is now the target of Jimmy going into the BB Blockbuster this week, because also, we've got to filter in the fact that if Kelly wins, he's got to name another replacement nominee, which will probably be Amy, leaving Amy, Adrian, and Will on the block with Will as the target. It's really all going to come down to BB Blockbuster, because if Will comes off, then it's probably going to be Amy. But again, these votes the votes haven't really started. The vote talk hasn't been as solid as it would usually be because of the fact that all these powers are in place, and how the veto ceremony still needs to happen, and how Kelly's power still needs to happen. It's hard to put plans in place when we don't know anything for certain. And that's why I love the BB Blockbuster, because it keeps everybody guessing till Thursday night, pretty much seconds before people walk out the door. Will also shot himself in the foot by voting out Amy this week instead of voting out Zay. It didn't do any favours for his social game, and he is unfortunately facing the wrath of that now. But again, I don't want it to be Will, but he needs to pick himself up and fight to stay in the game. There's nothing I dislike more in Big Brother when somebody gets punched or put on the block, you know, it's a mental punch, I guess, and then they're just like, okay, I'm kind of done here. Don't let the door hit you on your way out if you can go on like that. But luckily there's days left, and I hope Will picks it up and actually starts the game. Speaking of Adrian, he went a little bit doolally last night. Do you all say doolally here in the States? I know that's a British one, going doolally. It's like, you know. He was up till all hours. I'm telling you, folks, it was weird. It was kind of creepy, like watching a horror movie almost, watching him. He was walking around the house by himself when everyone was asleep, and he was just talking to himself and talking himself up the wall and almost repeating himself. It was slightly uncomfortable to watch almost. He's really taken this nomination hard. He is not the gamer he said he was. Or maybe that gamer hasn't activated yet, but right now, his read on the game is subpar, and that's a friendly way to put it. Terrible is the more appropriate word. And he is not pulling himself together. That's the problem with these nominees right now. They don't really... That's why Kelly and Keanu, as much as people don't like them and how chaotic they are, they've got guts, and they're here to stay. Adrian is just kind of spiraling and campaigning to himself almost. Like, there are people there that you need to campaign to. He hasn't even campaigned yet. Like, he has not even campaigned. And that is difficult to watch. Oh, my light's gone. Much like the light inside of Adrian's head since he was put on the block. Now we've got the lights back in action. Yes, I want to just say Adrian needs to pull it together. He was wandering around at all hours, talking to himself and just kind of driving himself up the wall. Honestly, call it quits, mate. Go to bed and then pull yourself together and campaign today. That's kind of what I wanted to say to him, because that wasn't helping him at all. And I've been talking about the fact that I feel like this... I hope this is the moment for him to lock in, but it feels like it's almost the opposite, because at first he was quiet, he had a few tears, but he kept himself to himself, and I thought maybe this would be the rebuilding, you know, of trying to get himself back out there to pack that punch when it comes to campaigning, but it's kind of gone in the opposite direction where he's actually spiraled and gotten worse and worse and worse. He is ostracizing himself from the game, and as a result, he doesn't really have a true group of people that have his back. Get it together, Adrian. Get it together, Will. And also, for that matter, if Amy ends up on the block, get it together, Amy. It's like the 3 worst gamers in the house. Well, I wouldn't say the worst game, but minus Kelly and Keanu, these 3 have very little drive in the game. And once again, that's just a testament to Jimmy. So much for targeting a big man and getting a big target out the game. What a big man you are, Jimmy, targeting the 3 people who don't have much drive in the game. Morgan and Mickey got together at one point in Jimmy's HOH room while he wasn't there and were plotting to take out Jimmy. That was a badass moment for me. You guys will know that those 2 I've been so freaking high on, probably more than anybody else. Mickey and Morgan, I adore. And seeing them come together, I was like, holy moly, if these 2 put their minds together, they will be in the final 2 seats. That to me would be, and I can say this, I know it's only like, week 2, but if that trajectory continues the way it is, if they get to the final 2, that could be the strongest final 2 in modern day Big Brother. Or in history. Like I feel like usually there's a flop in the final 2 alongside somebody good. I mean, I can think of strong final 2s like Ian and Dan, or June and Alison. I thought were a very strong final 2 actually. I'm just kind of flabbergasted at the idea of those 2 getting there. It sounds freaking amazing. They were saying, and Mickey made the point, that this is becoming the Jimmy show. Something that us viewers are very aware of. And apparently the construction workers as well. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about seeing what they can do if they put their heads together, because they were also openly discussing they're sick of Kat. And it's so funny because a lot of the fandom have been trying to ship Morgan and Kat as a thing, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be a thing. I don't think Morgan is a fan of Kat. Both of them said that if they win HOH, Kat will be on the block. So that's an interesting one. But again, that shift again, the tides are turning against Jimmy. He's got HOH-itis. He's full of himself. I feel like he's trying to get that viral moment. And it's tough. That was another thing I forgot to mention. In that conversation with Amy and Will in the pantry, in the storage room earlier, they were talking about how like there's so many house guests here this season that are looking for their 15 minutes of fame, but they just want to keep it real. And that's something I like about Amy and Will. They might not have much drive in the game, but they want to keep it real. Whereas Jimmy, I mean, I really liked him at first. And I don't hate him now or anything by any means, because I know there's a lot of kind of black and white viewing sometimes with a lot of Big Brother fans where they think if you say one thing critical about one house guest, it means that you can't stand them. Nuance exists in the middle. I truly believe that, and that's a forgotten thing quite a lot of the time. But they are keeping it real and being themselves, whereas I feel like Jimmy, as much as I like the messiness of old school, it feels manufactured rather than actually real. I feel like he's going for that viral moment, and I kind of love that Keanu gave him nothing at the veto ceremony and started snoring when Jimmy was trying to eat down, as he would probably say. Yeah, I like old school, but I don't like it when it's manufactured. I like natural mess, like Janelle and Jerry and Rennie and all those old school people who I felt like weren't actively trying to be iconic. Iconic comes naturally. That's what I think. That's my take on these things. You can't try to make yourself an icon. You either are one or you're not. That is all of your live feed updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching. I'm going to roll over the super thanks from yesterday into tomorrow's just so we can bunch them together and do a nice super thanks segment tomorrow. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Again, I just want to apologize so much about the change of scenery and any background noise that you might have heard today. I've really been beating myself up over it, and I'm just kind of, yeah, I want to give you guys the best update possible. And this year, you know, We've had some good stuff, but I also feel like I've been off to a little bit of a rocky start, just to be vulnerable for a second, guys. I'm trying to find out what works best in terms of audio, in terms of background, in terms of all that stuff, and then for this to come along has just been another nail in the coffin. And I just want to make something amazing for y'all. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'll just ask y'all, please bear with me, and I hope it's not too bad. I'm very, very sorry, I really am. But I just want to thank all the people who've continued to support me throughout the changes this year. Of course, this graphic has just done wonders for the channel because of the amazing Sam, who you all know by now. But yeah, it's a work in progress, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But like I said, apologies for the noise today. I hope you all still enjoyed the update. And yeah, let's end it there, folks. In the meantime, I hope that you're all staying safe, staying positive, and staying healthy out there. And remember to be kind to one another. But in the meantime, please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that wonderful stuff. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.